Hello, good morning and good afternoon to our attendees from all around the world, and welcome back to the Business Call to Action Annual Forum, a side event of the UN General Assembly. I'm Maria Ramos. I'm a TV news anchor at TRT World. Now, yesterday we had an exciting day of discussions around opportunities for future-proofing MSMEs and shepherding them towards green recovery. We looked at how governments could tap into the best practices of the private sector to drive inclusive innovation to address development priorities. And we also explored the tools the UNDP has in supporting public and private sector actors in forwarding the SDGs. And we looked at the resources available to help businesses achieve their gender goals and help women in business to thrive. Now, if you missed any of these discussions, do log on to businesscalltoaction.org next week to view the video recordings for each session. And now I would like to welcome the opening speakers for day 2 of our event. Ulrika Modir is Assistant Secretary General and Director of the Bureau of External Relations and Advocacy at UNDP. In her role as Director of BERA, she leads the organization in nurturing and growing key relationships with member states and new and emerging partners. She also leads the UNDP's communication and advocacy as it works to realize the vision of the SDGs. Now, Ms. Modir previously served as Sweden's State Secretary for International Development, Cooperation and Climate. She's been instrumental in reshaping the country's international development cooperation to support the achievement of the 2030 Agenda. Now, she combines a strong policy background with parliamentary and civil society experience and has had several assignments in Latin America and Africa. Let's hear now from Ms. Modir.
The global economy contracted by 3.5% in 2020. The world's developing countries, already strained by limited fiscal space, narrow state capacity and a large share of informal workers, faced a more pronounced downturn. At the same time, human development, which is the combined measure of the world's education, health and living standards, declined in 2020 for the first time since measurement began in 1990. These figures, they remind us, in this interconnected world, we are only as strong as our weakest link. And they demand that governments, businesses, multilateral organizations and civil society alike unite in a spirit of partnership to really leverage their synergies and unique strength, to build global resilience and to drive the transformation and the far-reaching change that we need. These figures also demand that we place our world's most pressing challenges, that is social inclusion and climate action, front and center in recovery, and that we take advantage of this challenging time in history to set the world on a different trajectory. Indeed, these figures are a renewed call to action for an inclusive green growth, and UNDP, United Nations Development Programme, is working with its network of diverse partners around the world to heed this call. UNDP's ever-evolving ecosystem of government, private sector and civil society partners is a demonstration of the momentum behind collaborative multi-stakeholder solutions and of the power of many to improve lives and protect our planet. UNDP's Finance Sector Hub was established in 2019 to help bring these collaborative solutions together and drive finance across public and private sectors to the Sustainable Development Goals. Business Call to Action is one example of UNDP's work with the private sector, an indispensable partner in delivering a strong recovery, forging the path to 2030 and ensuring equitable opportunities for all along the way. Business Call to Action growing network of 280 inclusive businesses in over 80 countries is a testament to private sector's important role in sustainable development. And we know that a distributed growth is good for economic growth. Economies grow faster, they grow more dynamically, and for longer periods when prosperity is more equally distributed across societies. Inclusive business models, financially viable, scalable models that intentionally and impactfully also engage low-income populations in business value chains, they are uniquely well suited to drive such inclusive economic growth. They have also established their willingness and ability to jump into action in the face of the crisis like COVID-19. From multinational initiatives to small and medium enterprises in developing countries, this pandemic has demonstrated the ready power of inclusive businesses to really leverage their knowledge of reaching low-income and vulnerable stakeholders and effectively adapt. One Health social enterprise and BCtA member in India used, just as one example, a combination of its telehealth marketplace, AI-based triage, and on-site pop-up and mobile clinics to provide accurate diagnosis and treatment for over 25,000 low-income and rural people per month with a limited or no access to healthcare. Now, another BCtA member, a global internet service provider, scaled its internet coverage in Ghana from 100 to over 1,000 locations, establishing partnerships with educational institutions for education continuity in the face of lockdown, and then providing free data to all its users to access updates and information related to COVID-19. And quickly leveraging its mobile tools to pivot to an entirely remote model. One multinational healthcare member company managed to expand its ear healthcare services to nearly 30,000 new individuals in 2020, counting over 880,000 cumulative low-income stakeholders served and continuing provision of other critical healthcare services during a time when pandemic response demanded much of the attention of the healthcare sector. This pandemic has pointed to adaptability and resilience as key determinants of stability, sustainability, longevity, and growth. While the pandemic has brought different outcomes on different business sectors, different segments of society and different countries, many inclusive businesses have demonstrated their ability to adapt to changing needs while holding fast to their mission of inclusive economic and transformation in their own societies. Now, today at this event, we will continue to glean inspiration from examples of our adaptable and resilient inclusive business in practice, and to learn lessons and the imperative for effective cooperation for sustainable development. On behalf of United Nations Development Programme, we call on the many diverse stakeholders here today to join this call to collaborative action to promote inclusive businesses as a model of adaptability and resilience that is so gravely needed, and to embrace the place at the nexus of an inclusive and sustainable and just recovery.
Thank you very much indeed, Ms. Mordir. And now we'll hear from Mr. Steven Collet, Ambassador of Business and Development at the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Mr. Collet is a change maker with a passion for both international and organizational development. Now, he's been working on economic development and trade throughout his career, working in multilateral, bilateral and private sector arenas. He served as a diplomat in Tanzania and Vietnam and was speechwriter and chief of staff at the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And in his current role, Mr. Collet is responsible for promoting responsible entrepreneurship and a sustainable business environment, creating more and better jobs and partnerships with the private sector for the SDGs. Thank you so much for joining us.
Dear colleagues, distinguished guests, today's forum is about recovery. I want to urgently draw your attention to one group that is not benefiting from recovery: children. Child labor is on the rise again. This is due to the fact that children could not go to school and the parents lost their income. This is unacceptable. We've set ourselves back from 20 years of progress on this SDG 8.7 we all committed to. So now we need to catch up. And this is why the Netherlands joins Alliance 8.7. We have set ourselves the goal to do our best and our maximum to eradicate child labor by 2025. Only 4 years to go. And we do this because as a trading nation, we feel a big responsibility to act. Now, how do we work? We work through a public-private partnership approach with a mix of policy instruments. Legislation is one of them. We lobby for due diligence legislation at the EU level because of its impact, but we do not shy away from national legislation if need be. Secondly, we partner with companies, private sector, public sector, governments in producing countries, and NGOs to actually address child labor in supply chains, to find where it is and to find also active means together to stop it. We are making progress. Yet, more needs to be done. 2 lessons learned. First, do not stigmatize companies and governments that act. They need to have space and they need to be stimulated. Secondly, address root causes. Lots of child labor, especially after the pandemic, relates to income loss. So we need better incomes. We need living income. This is a human right. I want to urge yourself also to reflect and think what you can do to make our partnership happen, because we owe it to our children. Thank you.